Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're playing in Pokemon Stadium, not our typical Pokemon Yellow runs, and we're going to be doing the first in this series. We're going to be doing the Poke Cup Pokeball level. Now, this is the first time I've really taken a look at this game in quite some time. I'm still trying to get familiarized with everything, but I'm really excited to do this series. As you saw, I've brought a couple Pokemon over already and working to bring over some of the other favorites from the channel throughout the course of this run, and maybe we'll be able to do something pretty fun with them later. But today, we're focusing on rentals only. So I don't know too much about the rentals other than watching one or two videos to kind of get a feel about what is strong and what's not. And so with this, we're choosing Dugtrio, Kadabra, Drowsy, Executor, Starmie, and Jinx for today's run. I decided to register them just in case we want to use them later if it is a really good set. But for now, I'm not sure what we're going to do, but we're going to go ahead and get started with today's attempt at the Pokeball level. We're now adding a timer to this one, as you've seen there, and that's how we're going to measure our runs for Pokemon Stadium. I don't know if it's the best way to measure it, but it's where we're going to start. So heading into the first battle, I'm deciding exactly how this still works, knowing that we can face anything. I'm going to lead with Dugtrio here, and we see we're facing Machop. Now, most of these Pokemon, it is the Pokeball level after all, are probably not going to give us too many troubles. It is essentially the easy mode, and I think we're going to do pretty well overall. So with Dugtrio, most of the time, we're probably going to focus on Dig. So with Dugtrio, we're probably going to mainly use Dig here. And Hyper Beam could be useful situationally, I guess, but a 100 base power move with Stab is super strong in Gen 1, and Dugtrio has pretty good attack too. So you see that we did almost 100 damage, and we got hit with a Karate Chop, which didn't quite do half. Actually, it did just over half, but it's still okay. I don't think we're going to have any trouble here. We get underground again, and we're going to end up taking out the Machop on the next turn. Now, this is a little bit different. There are still things from Gen 1 that are a little bit weird and buggy, but Pokemon Stadium did fix quite a few things. One of them is the reason we're not going to be using Hyper Beam as well, and Hyper Beam no longer gets to skip the rest turn if we get a knockout with it. That is super powerful in the base games of Red, Blue, and Yellow, but we don't have it here. So now that we've taken out Machop, Nidoran Female is coming out, and this is a terrible matchup. Again, Dig, gonna probably one-shot, but I'm not quite sure here. I think it will, but again, another change with Pokemon Stadium games is that the stats are all over the place. Some of the really strong Pokemon have fairly low base stats, but it's okay here because we do get a one-shot on the Nidoran Female. But as I was saying, they have fairly low stats because of either poor stat experience or just how they were set up. They have horrible movesets. Nidoran Male is now out, and I think we've already seen what's going to happen with Nidoran Female, so another Dig should end this battle, and we should get through with a perfect battle on our first attempt here. But as I was saying, this is the reason Pokemon Rentals is so interesting to me right now, because there could be so many different types and setups that we could do, and it's really going to depend on what 3 Pokemon we choose and how we've set them out against our team. If we would have picked something else, maybe this battle goes entirely differently. But Dugtrio leading does very well, and that means we've got the perfect win. That means we're going to get an extra continue. Hopefully we don't need it at the Pokeball level, but you never know. And we can now move on to our next battle, and this one is against a Tamer. And he's got Voltorb, Magnemite, Pikachu, Bellsprout, Bulbasaur, and an Oddish. So I think we should be able to probably lead with another Dugtrio here, but I'm not positive, and we'll see how this full battle goes. I mean, we are going to be doing neutral damage to any of his grass types that are going to come out here. So we're still going to probably have to go underground and use Dig, but again, Dig is so powerful in these runs. So we get underground, avoid a stun spore, and hopefully we're able to either get a crit, maybe get a one-shot, or we can maybe shake off a status effect from the Oddish, because that would be super annoying dealing with the rest of his team while he's set up with that. We don't get the crit, and it hangs on with 29 HP, goes for Stun Spore, and let's see if it does enough to get us, and it paralyzes us. That's not great at all. Not only are we now going to be slower, we're now possibly gonna be stuck underground and not able to attack. So we're gonna have to pull Doug Trio back, and hopefully not gonna be too much of a problem as we send out Kadabra. Now, Alakazam is a stronger Pokemon, it's faster, it has better special, but Kadabra is so great in Pokemon Stadium rentals because it has Psychic. Alakazam is stuck with Psybeam, and Alakazam is really limited because of that. Instead, we can use Psychic with Kadabra, and that does so much damage. It was clearly going to be a knockout on the Oddish, but it is a great move, and the chance for Special Drop is very helpful in many of these battles. Psybeam is still really strong with Alakazam, but Confusion chance is not as great as the Special Drop chance. So as Magnemite comes out, we could go for Dig here, because it would do super effective damage. I'm going to opt for Psychic though, because I think it's going to do more, because Kadabra doesn't have great attack, and it has really good special. So even though it doesn't get a one-shot, it does do really good damage. It'll be a two-shot. But unfortunately, a Thunder Shock hits the 10% chance to paralyze us, and that is brutal. That is not great luck, and now Magnemite hits us with a Screech, so if he has a physical attacker, luckily it didn't work, because that would have been really bad. But we're able to break through our paralysis and finish off the Magnemite, and that is really good. Now we have one more Pokemon to knock out. Hopefully we can get through it pretty easily and maybe pick up another Continue. Let's see who puts out. He's putting out Bellsprout. So maybe he's going for a wrap strategy. I don't even know what moves this trainer has. So we'll see what he ends up doing. Acid. It's a good thing that Screech did not hit us. That probably would have been enough to knock us out otherwise. So again, we break through paralysis, and that means we hit a super effective Psychic, and I think that'll be enough. It is. That's a one-hit wonder. Knockout on the Bellsprout, and that's another win without losing one of our own Pokemon. So again, perfect battle, and another Continue to add to our list. Again, I hope we don't need them, because if we do, that means we are going to really struggle when things pick up in Great Ball, Ultra Ball, and I wouldn't even want to think about how hard Master Ball is going to be if we're struggling at the Pokeball level. So now we're going to be facing off in round 3 against a Juggler. He's got a lot of ghosts. He's got one ghost, a couple psychic types here, I guess one psychic type with the best one ever with Drowsy, and then just kind of a mix of fighting types. So let's go ahead and lead with Kadabra. Seem to have pretty good coverage there overall. So he leads with Machoke, and I think you all know how this is gonna go. We're gonna lead with Psychic, and I think it should be a one-shot without too many problems here. Kadabra goes, we hit Psychic, super effective damage, and one shot. Perfect start for this battle. By the way, I am loving this commentary in the background. It is so much better than the generic 8-bit music. Not that I don't like it, I actually really like the Gen 1 Red, Blue, Yellow playlist that goes on. It is fun to have in the background, I really enjoy listening to it, but it does get old to me playing it over and over, and I'm sure this commentary will eventually get there too. And now we're going to have to face the best Pokemon in the world, and that's Drowsy. And I don't know how this one's going to go. Our Psychic is not going to be very effective, so I do decide let's burrow underground. Let's see how our Kadabra does using Dig. So we go under, we hit it, and it doesn't do great damage. I mean, 40 damage isn't bad, but Drowsy's going to hit us with Hypnosis here, and it looks like, yeah, it's effective. Kadabra is now taking a nap on the field, and that's not great, so we're going to have to swap into either Jinx or Exeggutor. Now, either one could be okay here. They're both going to resist Drowsy if it has any Psychic moves, but I'm going to opt to go for Exeggutor here, because I think it's going to be a little bit bulkier and just a little bit better of a tank. One thing I am also really enjoying, even though we just started this series, is seeing the AI actually doing moves that make sense. That Hypnosis into a Dream Eater combo is very rare in Gen 1, and by very rare, I mean the only person I know who does it is Agatha. So as we hit an Egg Bomb, we do much more damage, and a Metronome Ice Beam? Are you kidding me? Hopefully we don't freeze. I mean, it does 61 damage, which is not great, but we're still able to tank it and move on. But I can't believe that hit an Ice Beam with Metronome. That is so unlucky there. Luckily, it's not going to be too much of a problem. We can use Mega Drain, and that's going to be enough to get a little bit of health back, but also finish off the Drowsy. Back to what I was saying about that AI being much better as Clefairy comes out. It just is so interesting to see the difference that a smart AI can make with making this a little bit harder. I could have sat in and maybe taken some damage with the Dream Eater, but the fact that it knows that I'm asleep and I can play around that with the switch just adds so much to this. Now Metronome hits a Twin Needle? Are you kidding me? That's a 4x super effective move, unless they fixed the typing. I'm not sure if they did that in Gen 1. But the Bug on the Grass and the Psychic, I'm pretty sure is still 4x super effective, which is so much damage. And from a Metronome, AI is getting great luck up until that, where a Clamp really not going to do much. It is going to be annoying, it is going to waste some time here, but we're able to pick a move still, so once this Clamp does end, we should be fine, and we should be able to either knock out the Clefairy with one more, maybe a crit or something, or we'll be able to just survive a couple more turns. This thing isn't really scary right now. Our Executor does end up breaking out after only a short Clamp there, and we are able to take it down to 5, it just hangs on, but we're back to 117 HP. Unless this Clefairy somehow hits a one-hit KO move against the rules of the game, we're gonna be fine. So now we'll be able to finish it off, one more Mega Drain, and that should be the battle. And it hits. And yep, that is enough to knock out the Clefairy, and that's another perfect battle. 3 for 3 to start off our Pokemon Stadium career. That is an absolutely phenomenal way to start these runs. Now, as I mentioned, there was a small chance that I could have missed there, and unlike the rest of Gen 1, where you have 1 in 256 chance to miss in red, blue, and yellow on any given move, they did fix that in Pokemon Stadium. However, it's not really fixed the way you would think, and instead, if you do get that 1 in 256, you end up re-rolling, and if you get a 1 in 256 miss again, you could end up missing on a 100% accurate attack. Now, that is very rare, but we will see if that happens because, you know, the more attacks you do, the more likely you are to see something, even if it is very low chance. So now we're on to the next trainer, and we led with Executor and a Horsey, leads with Blizzard, and wow, I was not expecting that at all, but it doesn't do too much. It's still looking like there'd be a 3-shot on us, and we can even make that better with Mega Drain healing back most of that damage that it just did to us. As long as we can avoid a freeze, we should be pretty good. One more Blizzard, and it hits, but no freeze, so that means we should be able to finish Horsey off with one more Mega Drain, and that's going to let us move on to the next Pokemon with just over half health. That was pretty easy, so now that Horsey's down, we'll have to wait and see who our opponent throws out next. I have played a little bit in the past, and I do remember that it doesn't always come out the same either. So this time, we do see Staryu, and it sets up a light screen, so that's a little bit annoying. But our Mega Drain is still super effective, and it still should do really good damage here. Just under half, looks like it's going to be a 3-shot, but hopefully this Staryu doesn't have much to do damage to me either. And like I was saying, oh boy, with the Minimize coming out, oh that's not great at all. We're going to have to really fight through this now because it's going to resist our special attacks, and hopefully it doesn't do too much with that Minimize. That's super annoying that the computer's going to be using those type of things on us. Setting up another Minimize? Are you serious? Oh well, I mean, hopefully we don't get stalled out too much by this. Let's see if Mega Drain can hit. And it does. Executor coming in clutch for us. Our Walking Palm Tree getting the KO. Now, if this video seems a little bit less scripted, a little bit more off the cuff, It's because it totally is. I'm definitely playing these through and then recording kind of my feedback a little bit later and my reactions to the battles. So if I'm bouncing all over the place, that's probably why, but you're getting a glimpse into the mind of Druzy here. We go with Mega Drain and we do massive damage to the Shelder. I'm actually pretty surprised that it got the one shot there, but Shelder doesn't have great special and it was weak to it, and that's a battle. And unlike before, we didn't even take damage. I mean, we did, but we ended with full HP. That is as perfect of a perfect battle as you can get. 4 badges down, 4 perfect battles, and now we're into the back half of the tournament, starting with this medium. Now this medium has some interesting team. Again, really, some of the teams here make no sense. You see me check out Starmie's stats there, thinking about maybe throwing the starfish out there. We'll see what happens. But you never know. I want to get a good mix here and just test out other types, other ways that we can go about this. And this time, we're going to lead with Jinx. I am a huge fan of Jinx in these runs, especially for rentals. I'm hoping that I can use it as a really strong team member because ice types can clear out quite a bit. Maybe we get a freeze with Ice Punch, and the psychic move, as you saw right there, does so much damage. It gets stabbed. Jinx is fairly fast. We did get confused there, so maybe that's going to be a pain. And we also have Lovely Kiss. And while we have been nerfed a little bit with our sleep power in Pokemon Stadium, usually doesn't last more than 2 turns, I believe, it is still super powerful that we can guarantee not to be attacked for a little bit. We finished Goldeen off with an Ice Punch, and now Vulpix is out next. Now, Fire could be a problem for Jinx, but it has super high special, and so hopefully that will allow us to help out just a little bit and not take too much damage if we get hit by a fairly weak fire move. Now, Vulpix is going for Confuse Ray, and most of these trainers have kind of a shtick or something that they go for, and that's their strategy, which is kind of cool. But this one clearly looks like his MO is going to be going for Confusion and then hoping that we hit ourselves in Confusion. Well, Vulpix is now going for Flamethrower, and we do take pretty big damage there, and we're now under half health, and that's pretty rare for this run so far. We'll have to see if we can break out of Confusion here and avoid hitting ourselves, and we do, and that's going to finish off the Small Fox. Now we're down to one more team member that we're going to have to go up against, and hopefully we can break out of this Confusion that seems to be never ending at this point. And we are facing Zubat, so as long as we avoid Confusion, this is going to be a one-shot with Psychic. Let's see what happens. No longer confused. That means that this battle is over, and once again, perfect battle. 5 for 5, fantastic. I didn't really have too much of a strategy coming into this other than kind of rely on the Psychic types to hopefully carry as they are so strong in Gen 1, but also ever since the back half of this battle, we are really just sweeping through with one Pokemon. I highly doubt that's going to continue when we get into Great Ball and Ultra Ball, and I completely don't think that's going to happen when we get to Master Ball. I doubt we even get a single perfect battle, honestly. But as we move on to this Tamer, we now see a lot of ground types. We've got a Cubone, we've got a Sandshrew. I guess this is a pretty mixed team. Well, I guess we'll have to kind of see what we're going to need to do. Starmie does have pretty good balance, and Growlithe comes out, so we should be able to rely on our water move of Surf. Surf is really powerful. Starmie has good special, so this should be able to do really good damage. Let's see what we get. Super effective, we know that. And we're able to get the one shot and take the little puppy dog down. Sorry, puppy, it was not your day. Now let's see who is next on this team. It looks like it's going to be Charmander, and again, looks like we made the right choice to lead with Starmie, because Starmie's going to be able to use Surf, and if Growlithe was a one-shot, I'm guessing Charmander is also going to be a one-shot. I mean, maybe if it was going to have Charmeleon or Charizard, it would tank it, but it's not going to. and Charmander goes down as well, and we're looking like we're gonna go 6 for 6 on our perfect streak here. We're now gonna be going up against Rattata. We don't have anything super effective, but I am not worried at all about this streak continuing here. So we're going to lead once more with Surf and see if we can make this 3 Surfs and 3 KOs. We hit. We don't get a crit, so I don't know if it'll do enough. Oh, it doesn't matter. 3 Surfs, and that is the battle. There goes the battle, as they often say in Pokemon Stadium. And that's enough to get a win, and once again, no damage taken, perfect win, extra continue. If we don't beat this run, it is 100% on me at this point of having 6 continues to win 2 more battles. So as we've now made it to the semifinal, we're facing off against a Psychic who actually has Psychic type Pokemon. Pretty interesting. Psychic and Birds, it looks like. This is making the choice of a team a little bit more difficult than I thought it would be. Psychic doesn't really have anything that it's really weak to, so I guess let's go with Starmie. Let's hope for maybe, yes, we did get one of the multi-types that are weak to Thunder. I was hoping for either the Slowpoke, which did come out, or one of the Birds. Let's go for Thunder, and the accuracy of Thunder misses. Luckily, Slowpoke only goes for a Psychic, and that does 13 damage because Starmie is a Psychic type, and so it does resist. Let's go for Thunder again. Well, let's see what happens here. It gets pulled back, and Execute comes out, so it will resist my Thunder here, and Starmie really isn't going to be a good matchup against these bunch of eggs. So, let's see. Do we swap out? I think we have to. I think we have to go to Jinx here to bring in that Ice type, give us a little bit better coverage. Execute is not going to have very many physical attacks to take advantage of Jinx's lower defense, and it's going to go for Solar Beam. So if we outspeed, we should be able to get a very strong Ice Punch off, and that might be enough to get the KO before having to get hit with Solar Beam. We get off the Ice Punch, and it's enough to get the KO. That's a little bit lucky. I mean, we wouldn't have taken too much damage from the Solar Beam because it isn't going to be super effective against us, but it would have been a little bit dicey. Now Slowpoke is back out, and I think, do we go for Ice Punch? Do we go for Psychic? Maybe put it to sleep? I think, well, we're going to go for Mega Punch. It's the only neutral damage, but again, bad accuracy, and I think, really looking back at this, probably the wrong call there. Luckily though, just like Starmie, Jinx is able to easily tank that Psychic and only take 13 damage in the process. So let's go back to Mega Punch again. It doesn't do much damage either, so clearly Mega Punch really not the right play here. But, learning through things, and special drop on that Psychic, which is not going to be good. And at this point, I think we're going to probably have to mix up our strategy just a little bit. And even though we had a special drop, I go for Psychic. Maybe we can get one of our own, and we did. But you can see that did more damage than the Mega Punch did. And this is a giant pain that we are now going to be dealing with lower special. Luckily, the Slowpoke also had a special drop though, so that means we're on a fairly level playing field, and that Surf didn't do too much damage. Jinx is now going to come back. It's done everything it needs to do. We're going to throw out our Kadabra. This is the first battle we've actually used all 3 Pokemon, so things are getting a little bit more difficult as we go on in the battles and get deeper in the tournament. But even a critical hit Psychic from Slowpoke only does 20 damage. The resistance plus the high special of Kadabra really made that an easy thing to tank. So now Kadabra, we're going to use our Psychic, and thanks to that special drop and Kadabra having fantastic Psychic strength, we are now going to be able to knock out the Slowpoke in a single hit. So that means we are now to the last Pokemon before we make it to the championship, and it's going to be a Pidgeotto. Hopefully we outspeed, and we do. Kadabra is really fast, and that is fantastic. We go for Psychic, I don't think it's going to be a one-shot. It's not quite, but it does bring it to red. It goes for fly, so we're going to have to do something here. We're going to have to waste that turn a little bit. I guess we can maybe go for recover to get up to full health, and we do. There's not much you can really do here, but having recover is also really useful on a Pokemon like Kadabra, who doesn't have great HP. We were easily going to tank that, but that fly almost did half, so you could imagine if it was going to continue using fly, we could basically stall this thing out forever with it. A quick attack hits us, but it doesn't crit, so we're able to tank it. Even though we have taken a lot of damage in the process, we are able to finish off the Pidgeotto with one more Psychic, and that means we have got another perfect battle, and we are one battle away from the ultimate goal of getting the Poke Cup. Now, we have 7 continues at this point, so if we somehow manage to bungle this, we are going to have an epic video on our hands. But if you've looked at the time, you probably know that I'm not going to bungle this 7 times in about 3 minutes. So I think everyone knows that this is probably going to end successfully, but how do we get there? That's still up in the air and still to be decided. So with our teams chosen here for the final battle, we're going to lead with Jinx, mainly because he has a couple flying types, and I saw a Dratini in there, so that Ice Punch could be helpful to take out a dragon if we face it. Beedrill is coming out first, and we smack it with an Ice Punch that does over half, and that's all we need. Twin Needle is a little bit scary. It crits, and oh man, that's a one-shot. I think the crit mattered there, but that's our first fainted Pokemon of the run, and that is a little bit brutal, but it does allow us to bring out Kadabra here, and with Kadabra coming out, I think it's pretty clear we're going to outspeed, and we should be able to finish this Beedrill off with Psychic before it can hit another one of my Psychic types with a really strong Twin Needle. There it is, there's the Psychic, there's the knockout, and now we are only 2 Pokemon away from claiming our first trophy. But I guess you could also look at it, we are on even footing with our opponent for the first time here. Seal is out now, and we're gonna have to probably go with Psychic again. Tactic isn't very creative, it's a pretty well-proven strategy, but it is working so far. And again, we get a big Psychic, it does 100 damage, and it's gonna hit us with Surf. We should tank this pretty easily because of our high special, and it gets a crit. Ooh, man. Our crit luck in this championship battle is not going well, but we should finish off Seal here, and our Psychic does go first, as we knew it would, and we finish off the Seal, which means we are now 1 Pokemon away from victory. But our Kadabra is a little bit weak, and depending on who he has, I don't know. This could be an interesting one. It is Dratini. This is why I had Jinx in the team, hoping that Ice Punch would be able to finish it off quickly. But I think Psychic still should do really good damage on this very small dragon. And let's hit the Psychic. We don't get a crit, which would have been perfect. But it turns out it didn't even matter. 1 Psychic. The Dratini goes stiff. And that is a championship. And we are now able to claim our first trophy. Wasn't a perfect battle, but we did get the win. Unfortunately, it wasn't an 8-for-8 perfect battle sweep, but there it is, the Earth Badge, all 8 badges in our possession. Now, as the beautiful Poke Cup that we have so rightfully earned comes down from the middle of nowhere in the air, we have beaten our first Pokemon Stadium run using rental Pokemon only. Now, I am going to redo some of these runs later on, at least that's the plan, with other Pokemon that are more optimized to see if we can beat that time of 2750.05. Basically leave the last couple digits off there, but 2750 is pretty good, and we'll have to see how that compares as we get to more difficult battles. I think this will probably be one of the fastest ones, but we will find out. This was a very fun change of pace from the normal videos. So tune in next time when we take on the great ball level of Poke Cup. If you liked this video, like and subscribe, leave comments below to say how you think I could make this a little bit better. This is my first Pokemon Stadium video, so I'm always open to trying to make it better so it's more enjoyable for everyone. Until next time, I'm Druzy, and I hope to see you all again soon.